Good evening, everyone. Thank you for joining. My name is Tawana Rivers. I am the CEO of the 10K Project. I am joined this week by another amazing Black founder. Mr. Kenyatta Ashford is here to join us this evening. And we are super, super excited to talk to him and learn about everything that he's doing. You guys know how I started. I'm going to go to the campaign page, show you where you can invest at the end of the evening or throughout the evening. And so let me share my screen. Okay, 1 minute. This campaign is on WeFunder. So as I was explaining to Kenyatta a moment ago, we are very familiar with WeFunder. So I won't spend a whole lot of time on the campaign page, but I do want to show you guys the deal itself, right? So here's the campaign page. There's a video here. I definitely want you guys to watch the video. You know how I tell you guys all the time, I want you to click on every link on this campaign page. I want you to read every sentence because the founders spend a lot of time putting together information that they know that you need in order to do your due diligence and get all of the information you need to feel comfortable investing. So please take the time to look through the entire campaign page. But I'll just review the investment terms. So this is a 1.5 return to investors. Expected payback is within or in 9 years or earlier. And then also there are some perks associated with this campaign. 5% at Neutral Ground in 2024. He's going to talk a little bit about what Neutral Ground is. $2,000 investors would be able to get an invitation to the VIP Club Grand Opening. The $4,000 investors would get the Louisiana Gumbo Masterclass for 6. That sounds yummy. And then the $10,000 donors or investors would get a private dinner for 10 cooked by Chef Kenyatta Ashford. And one of the things I haven't told you, I don't know if I should wait for Kenyatta to tell you or if I should tell you. I think I want to tell him. Kenyatta was the winner of Chopped. So we are in the company of celebrity this evening. And so we know, anybody knows anything about Chopped, this man must know how to throw down because that competition is not a joke, okay? So Kenyatta, you got to tell us about that experience as you talk to us this evening. But let's start out by talking about who you are. I personally want to know where you got your love of cooking from, and just to hear a little bit about you, and then obviously about the venture and talk about the capital raise and everything that means for you. But let's hear a little bit about you first.
Well, as everybody has heard, my name is Kenyatta Ashford. I'm a chef. I'm a classically trained chef. I studied at the Culinary Institute of America in Hyde Park, New York. Originally from New Orleans, Louisiana. I've been living in Tennessee for about 20 years. I moved to Tennessee from New Orleans at the ripe young age of 19 to finish up college. And that's where I hoot at. That's what's up, Edward. And I've been living here off and on ever since. Got married to Chattanoogan. I have 2 kids that were born here and everything. And my passion for culinary arts, if you haven't assumed, comes from, my upbringing, being born and raised in Louisiana, and more specifically New Orleans. And what's unique about that is I'm one of 7 kids, and my mom is one of 9 kids. So my family cooked a lot. And cooking and eating and food is so integral to the culture in New Orleans that it's kind of hard to escape, that being an important part of your identity. And I started out my professional career as a teacher after graduating college here in Tennessee. And I did that for about 4.5 years. But after my first year teaching, I started spending my summers in restaurants. And I worked in the catering kitchen for a little while, and then sought out some other tutelage from other chefs in the area. And I met one of my first mentors, who was a CIA grad, a Jamaican gentleman named Neville Forsyth, may he rest in peace, who kind of took me under his wing and was such an encourager for me and everything, and really encouraged me to pursue the path. And he thought if I really was serious about becoming a chef, that I should go to his alma mater. So he wrote me a letter of recommendation with a few other chefs, and I took the leap. And when my last year teaching was the following year, I was gonna get tenure as a teacher, and I had a 5-month-old son, didn't have a job, didn't have really a whole lot of savings and everything, so I left everything here in Chattanooga and took that leap of faith and moved to New York to go to culinary school, and I've really never looked back. So it was a good decision, and I'm really glad I made it, and I'll probably make it 10 out of 10 more times. So
Wonderful. Very, very good. All right, you want to pull up your presentation?
yes, I have it here, and so I'm gonna share my screen. See, do this right here. Yeah. All right. So NutriGround is a restaurant concept that was birthed out of for a couple of reasons and stuff, but I was working as a chef here in Chattanooga at the Reed House Hotel, which is a historical hotel here in the city. And I was furloughed during the pandemic, and I had decided, that this was probably a gift, and I didn't want to waste the opportunity, to do something for myself. So I began to brainstorm and figure out, what would be the best route for me to go with being able to provide for myself and my family. So entrepreneurship kind of became the most obvious route, and thought about what the restaurant concept would be and what we would serve and everything. And NutriGround was kind of the thing that we came up with. So if you guys aren't familiar with NutriGround, or what that means, if you're not from New Orleans, if you haven't spent any time in the city, it's what we call the median in New Orleans and in Louisiana. It's where the trolley, the streetcars travel on and everything. And the moniker for our business is called as a commonplace, because at one point in New Orleans' history, after Louisiana Purchase was bought by the United States, people kind of didn't get along, and the NutriGround was a common place where people set aside their differences and rode the streetcar and took care of business and kind of settled disputes and whatnot. So we kind of want our ethos to be one that anybody from any walk of life can come and enjoy a meal at our establishment, whether you're a sanitation worker or you're a businessman, a CEO, or whatnot. And it's kind of similar to the culture that you will find in Louisiana. So as I talked to you guys about it, I graduated from the Culinary Institute of America. Joanna mentioned to you guys that I'm a Food Network Chop champion. While I was in culinary school, I began to do some research and everything about scholarships and grants, and began looking at this one grant called the John Louis Paladin Work Study Grant. John Louis was a famous chef in a culinary lexicon and everything, and they named a scholarship or a work study grant after him. I applied for it, and it kind of led me on a journey to discover my cooking style. And I'll tell you guys more about that here in a little bit. But I won the grant, and I got the opportunity to travel to the Low Country and meet, some renowned chefs who are authorities in Gullah Geechee cuisine. One gentleman who I encountered on that excursion is a friend of mine now. His name is BJ Dennis, and he's taught me quite a bit, and also it allowed me to begin to explore the culinary scene in West Africa. I was in Proof for 2 years as a primary restaurant in residence, and I'd started on June of 2020 at the beginning of the pandemic. which is a significant, point to make. And I ended my residency there in June of 2022. Let me go back for a while. So as I was talking to you about the John Louis Paladin Work Study Grant that I received from the James Beard Foundation, as you might have, if you were a foodie or you familiar with food and everything, a lot of famous chefs in their bio, they talk about they spent time studying after going to culinary school, after working in restaurants. They took a sojourn to Europe or South America, France somewhere, and they studied the cuisine of that place, and they might have come back to America and opened a restaurant geared around the cuisine, the study that took place in the place that they went. But nobody, as far as I know, besides maybe a few chefs, because that's where they're from and everything. Marcus Samuelsson is one example, but no American chefs, no African American chefs have taken the effort or made the effort to go to West Africa or go to Africa and learn about the cuisine and then come back and start cooking that food. Besides what you might find in a Southern lexicon or soul food or anything like that, you don't see a lot of chefs, cooking fufu or cooking wache or cooking or making egusi, and so that's something that's become popular or trendy in probably the last 3 to 5 years, particularly probably I would say more so at the beginning of the pandemic in the George Floyd situation. People began to pay a lot of attention to West African culture and African American culture in general. So me doing this and going to West Africa was a way for me to discover my culinary point of view and also learn about my ancestry and my heritage. As most of you know and stuff, we can't really trace our ancestry, to a specific point in time or place where we know our ancestor came to the United States. So that's probably true for most of us. Why Nutri-Ground? Again, Nutri-Ground is a commonplace, and it is something that is important to me because I remember as a kid, growing up, especially during Mardi Gras, we would camp out under the Claiborne Bridge or on the Nutri-Ground with everybody, white people, black people, all our cousins and aunts and everything, almost like a mini family reunion. And we would get together and spend a lot of time eating, communing, and kind of coming together in a common place per se. So we believe that we can make food and also be a place where people come together, where we offer people the common denominator to come to our place. And because one of the stories I'll usually tell is about when a foreign dignitary comes to the United States to visit the White House or do business with our government. And one of the things that they normally have is an estate dinner. Before they conduct any business, they usually break bread. And that ethos is what we want to promote and advertise Nutri-Ground to be. So the food, we cook what I have coined as Afro-Creole cuisine. And what does that mean? Afro-Creole cuisine draws inspiration from the African diaspora. We draw influences from everywhere that Africans and African Americans have existed in the Western Hemisphere, whether that is the Southeast United States, Southeast Louisiana, South America, the Caribbean, Central America. We have a footprint in so many different places, and a lot of those places we have had really strong influences on culture and on food. And we really take that to heart and want to honor our heritage, you know, by cooking, drawing inspiration from those cuisines, and also, not making them mediocre, but we want to make them excellent. So we've done very, very well. So one of the picture on your far left is a bowl of yakimein, as you see on my t-shirt. So yakimein is a dish that came to New Orleans in the 1860s after the Civil War, when there wasn't any more free labor from African Americans. And so they imported Chinese labor. So New Orleans in the 1860s, 1860s, 1870s, somewhere around there, when they were building the Transcontinental Railroad that branched from Houston to New Orleans, we had a Chinatown. And yakimein means one order of noodles, and this dish is a holdover. It's a famous holdover, probably not well known outside of New Orleans and everything, but it's a famous holdover from that culture that's been creolized over the years. And my interpretation of the dish is what you see there. It's not traditionally made like that, but I took my hand at chefing it up and drawing inspiration from time and place, where I'm here in Tennessee, and we serve our yakimein with smoked brisket meatballs, with some charred kale, a pickled softball eggs, some watermelon radishes, some house-made spaghetti, a broth that we cook for like 36 hours. And then in the background, you see a hot sausage po' boy. A lot of people outside New Orleans know po' boys and everything, but they don't really pay particular attention to hot sausage po' boys because it's not something that you can really buy outside of Louisiana. So one of the reasons why I was inspired to perfect that and actually make my own sausage, perfect my own hot sausage recipe, was it was my oldest brother's favorite sandwich. And every time he would come home from Texas, he would get 2 buckets of Patton's hot sausage and bring it back to Dallas with him. So then the middle picture is catfish and grits. And the picture in the third frame is a dish that that's completely original to Nutri-Ground. And it's some local farm pork belly and peanut garlic noodles that we cooked up in a wok with some local produce. You see the purple potatoes and some kale and whatnot. Our food is delicious, so I hope you guys' mouth are watering. So we're raising the money because after completing my tenure at Proof, I didn't make enough money, ideally to open a brick and mortar restaurant. Restaurants are expensive ventures, to be quite honest. And we want to do it right, just like we approach, the cuisine that we make. We try to pay attention to every painstaking detail in the food that we make, and we want to offer people an upscale experience. So we want to have a place, an ambiance that's fitting for a guest when they walk in the door, that is equal to the food that we prepare. So why you should invest is because one of the reasons is because my vision, before I actually opened Nutri-Ground, I started this supper club called 4 Courses and we've done 5 dinners and we've raised over $50,000 to give back to local high school culinary arts programs. One of those programs is the Howard School, which is actually the same Howard that Howard University is named after. Is one of the oldest Black high schools in the United States. It's kind of disproportionate now because we have a pretty large Latino population here in Chattanooga. But it's a historically Black high school and everything. They have a culinary arts program. And also Brainerd High School is another all Black high school that we try to support by providing funds for them to help provide opportunities for young people by taking trips and everything. And one of the things too we do with the 4 Courses and initiative is we partner with a Black celebrity chef and we get students from the culinary arts program that we want to benefit that for that dinner. And we put those two together and they kind of work side by side. They get to get some mentorship ever so briefly from the visiting chef and get to spend some time with them. During the pandemic, we couldn't do that quite as much as we wanted to. So 2 dinners, we didn't have all the interactions that we wanted to with the young people, but the last one we did. We've had, Chef Mashama Bailey come and visit us. She has a Chef Table episode on Netflix. We've had Michael Twitty, who's a New York Times bestselling author for his book called The Cooking Gene. We've had BJ Dennis come. We've had Chef Ricky Moore, Chef Serene Bay. So we've had some heavy hitters come and participate in this event and everything. So we are really serious about making sure we raise the level of attention to culinary arts, and also let young people see paths forward for themselves that they might not otherwise imagine if they didn't get the time to spend with these people. So what is the ask? The ask is $450,000. As you saw when Tawana showed you guys the WeFunder page, for our friends and family round, we've done very well. Right now we're at $74,000. We raised that in four weeks time, and 5 weeks time and everything. So, which is, the goal was 50 grand, and we've done pretty well. But again, 450 is kind of is the number that we're going for to try to build out our space. It's going to depend on location and whatnot and everything. But I've been working on scouting some locations, and I have some serious places in contention right now. But my goal is to find a 2nd generation restaurant to help defray the costs of building out a space that's a blank slate. If I get a 2nd generation restaurant, possibly I won't have to worry about a hood system and grease trap, which are pretty heavy expenses in outfitting a restaurant. My restaurant, this also allowed me to keep my restaurant as a 100% Black-owned venture. I won't have to take on partners or anything like that, and I can control my vision and not have to compromise, the quality of what we want to do. So right here is kind of a vision of what we would like NutriGround to look like. Now, the restaurant on the left is a restaurant in LA that I've been to called Otium, which is a really nice restaurant. I like the style of service that they offer. They do all a la carte. They use local produce, just like we do, and everything. And they produce high quality food. And it's also a thriving business in downtown Los Angeles. I went to LA just to visit that restaurant because it was so inspiring to me, and I really admire the chef. The picture on the left is a meal that we prepared for Valentine's Day, as you see the red hearts there and everything. And that's kind of a sample of some of the higher end or the upscale casual food that we would want to serve at NutriGround. So as we talked about earlier too, investors will get a 1.5 multiple return on their investment, with the target being 9 years. But that's a conservative estimate. And that will reflect a 6% return. If we do it faster than 9 years, say we did it half the time, 4.5 or 4 years, you would probably get 11% or 12% return on your money. The repayment is going to come from 5%, actually 6% of our quality revenue, and all investors will receive a 1.5 multiple, as we talked about. So the reason why we chose WeFunder, which I know you guys are familiar with it, is because it allows people who aren't familiar with investing or crowdfunding or angel investing to participate. You know, you don't have to be an accredited investor to participate with WeFunder. You don't have to be a millionaire. So it allows for a broader group of people in your location's population to be able to participate. It makes it easier for them, and it also makes it easier to manage when you have angel investors and there's 1,000 angel investors. I don't have to worry about, you know, figuring out doing a repayment schedule and everything. So that's the really cool part about WeFunder as well. Also, it allows me to maintain 100% of my restaurant, as I talked about. Also, I don't have to have an exit strategy. I don't have to figure out, you know, all of those things where it'll force me not to be innovative in the style of service that we offer. And also I won't have to worry about, you know, compromising what we do because of investors who are partners. It also allows me to maintain hold of my larger vision. And the larger vision of NutriGround, you know, is one, to use this money to get future money, but to also expand to have a fast casual concept that's surrounded by po' boys and Yakami, which is where I could potentially make, you know, lots of money, where I can develop a concept and have multiple locations in different cities. Similar to what you might find, I'm not sure if you guys are familiar with this one chef that's a colleague of mine. His name is John Currents. He's from Oxford. He's from New Orleans, actually. He started out in Oxford, Mississippi, but he has restaurant locations now, probably in 20 stores in probably, you know, 10 to 12 cities. And it's called Big Bad Breakfast. And he just opened one here in Chattanooga. He opened one in South Pittsburgh, Tennessee. He has them in Nashville and all over the place. So it's a chef-driven concept that's, you know, inspired by breakfast. And he has local partners that he does that with and everything. So in order for me to scale a restaurant, I have to come up with a concept like that that's easy to duplicate, and you don't have to have highly skilled labor to operate the restaurant. And the concept of fast casual po' boys and Yakami is the idea for that. So I launched, we launched our restaurant in 2020 during the pandemic. And now if you guys can remember what 2020 was like, all the civil unrest was happening. Restaurants were closing left and right. You know, chain restaurants, big chain restaurants, mom and pops were closing left and right. And we opened our restaurant, you know, in the middle of all that, and we're very successful in operating our restaurant, you know, in the incubator. And we were able to, you know, get $200,000 in revenue and sales. And what's important about that too is the fact that I was an anchor tenant in the incubator, but also competing with 3 other business concepts. So I didn't get, you know, so Proof was one of them, actually 4 business concepts. Proof was one of them, where the revenue number that you see there is only from food. That's not alcohol sales. And also there are 3 other restaurants, one Ethiopian concept, one dessert concept, and one pizza concept that all share the same space and we're operating at the same time. So people came to Proof, the incubator, for us because we were able to draw a lot of attention, one, because of the CHOP thing. And also we had in 2021, we had a celebrity that came to our restaurant to eat. And if you guys want to check it out, you can go to my Instagram profile at NutriGround Chat. She came to eat Princess Nakia from Black Panther, Lupita Nyong'o. They were taping Black Panther in Atlanta, and they had an injury. and they had Labor Day weekend off. And she had read about us and decided to come to Chattanooga for a quick getaway, she and her sister Fiona. And the first place they stopped was Nutri-Ground. So one of the servers came to the kitchen and mentioned, said, "Hey, Lapita's outside, sitting at table 36. Lapita who?" I respond, and she's like, "Lapita Nyong'o." I'm like, "Nah, you lying, man." So I go out, I leave the kitchen, I go outside, and I look out the window, and sure enough, she was sitting there at table 36. And she had some questions about the food and everything, some dietary questions. So I went to answer those questions for her. And soon as I found out that she was there, I ate a 6-1 item because I knew she was going to probably order it because it was a West African dish. And that dish is red. And that's a dish that I first encountered I encountered on my first trip to Africa when I went to Ghana in 2019. And I was so taken by the dish because growing up in New Orleans, beans were like a big staple for our diet. Eat red beans and rice on Monday, white beans on Tuesday, spaghetti on Wednesday, and yada, yada, yada. We kind of have these traditions, that we do and everything. Crowder peas and black-eyed peas and whatnot. We eat lots of beans and rice. So I decided that I was going to figure out how to make that dish and make it delicious and make it my own and put it on the menu to kind of, stay true to our Afro-Creole ethos and everything, and kind of uplifting food from West Africa and everything. And she ordered it, she loved it, and she decided to come back the following day after their hike. So she came back the following day, and that's when she made the video that you guys will see on Instagram on my Nutri-Ground page. It's pinned to the top, so it'll be the first video that you see. And I didn't ask her to make the video. She told me not to post any pictures until after she left town. And probably 1 month to the day that she left, she posted that video on her Instagram feed, and it went viral for us. And we, had, like, I was eating dinner one day and one night, and I saw that she had posted and everything. I was like, why do we have so many new followers and everything? And it went crazy. And we were, for the next month or so, we were humping like every dinner service. So we were really busy after that. So after we left the incubator at Proof, we transitioned Nutri-Ground to a full service catering operation and a private chefing operation. So right now we are operating out of another space here in Chattanooga. It's a commissary kitchen. Used to be an Old Virginia College culinary school, and we're using that space to do catering. I did a catering job today. I have 2 tomorrow, and I have a farm dinner at one of the local farms that I procure some of my ingredients from here Saturday in Sequatchie Cove. But we transitioned from that to catering and to doing private events and everything, and that's allowed us to again generate $200,000 in revenue. So business is good. We're doing well, but we know by opening a brick and mortar, it will give us the opportunity to kind of reach our full potential. And that is the end of my pitch. And if you want to go to check those things out, take the information down, and you can email me if you have any questions. You can go to my WeFunder page again and take a look.
Wonderful. Thank you so very much, Kenyatta. I appreciate that. Great information, great presentation. Go ahead, guys, and put your questions, any questions you have in the Q&A, and we'll get to those in a moment. We've also put those links in the chat. They're also in the Facebook comments, so you can find those links there, as well as the link to the campaign page. There's been a lot of comments going on in the chat as you were talking. First of all, I think you made all of our mouths water with the food and talking about the food. We cannot wait to taste it. Looks like Tracy said we're going to add that to the 10K project road trip and have to go visit so we can taste some of that food. And John said, did you say fufu? I think he's in as a result of that. And John talked about a little bit about the year of the return in 2019 and how
Yes,
many people went to Ghana. I was one of those people in 2019 that
yes.
also visited. And it was beautiful. And I had been to Liberia before. I've never been to Nigeria, but I've been to Liberia and Ghana. And there's always the battle of who has the best jollof rice. And so
Senegal, baby, Senegal.
you Senegal had the best? Okay, all
That's
right.
that's where it comes from. That's where it comes
Okay.
from.
So
Senegal
so
is
the
is
best
a,
is where
is
it
original.
originated. Okay.
Yeah, yeah.
Wonderful, wonderful, wonderful. I see a couple of questions.
Um,
I think I see. So let me just read them out loud just in case anybody else has questions. So Bonnie said, who's your target clientele and how much potential revenue will be generated per month a year? You want to answer that out loud for us, Kenyatta?
so potential clientele, my target clientele are, people who have disposable incomes to eat out. Ideally, once a week, once or twice a week. And that's really going to depend on our location. The thing is, we most of my clientele are white customers, and that's not who I know. That's not who who I ideally target. But I have made some inroads with groups of middle class African Americans here in Chattanooga. While I was at Proof, we had several events that focused on those groups and everything. So that's where my heart lies and everything, wanting to serve our people as much as possible and everything. And that's one of the reasons why I participated in the last 2 years at being the chef to do the gala dinner for a large Juneteenth event here in Chattanooga. So it's held at the Chattanooga Theater Center here in town and everything. And one of my friends, Ricardo Morris, is the guy who heads that up. And I've done it for the last 2 years, and I've committed to do it, until they don't need me anymore. So that's kind of where I am. What's so funny is I'll say this and everything, but what's so funny is really wanting to know about who I am has really made me double down on really wanting to serve our people as much as possible. I was born in an all black hospital in New Orleans, and my dad named me, after Jomo Kenyatta for a reason. So I really take that to heart and what I do and trying to serve our community. So
Yeah, very good. The question is who your target clientele is when we're talking about food is an interesting one for me because food is like music to me. It transcends all the
right,
lines.
right,
And so, good food, like you said, I mean, neutral ground is what you called it, right? Good food brings
right,
people together that you would never imagine could be sitting in the same space, right?
right, absolutely.
But the love of food, and I think it speaks volume when you say Lupita came back the next day. I've done that. I've had something so good that I have come back the next day. I've had something so good I came back the next day and stood online for 2 hours to get it.
Oh
That's
wow,
food is good. And so food does this thing. It's magical.
yeah.
And so the clientele, it should be anybody who wants to eat it, right? Anybody who wants their palate to sing is the target audience for good food.
Right.
And so I love that you have people who have come out for you. You've already built a clientele. That's huge. You
Yes.
already have people who love your food in the place that you're trying to open a restaurant. I mean, you're already starting ahead of the game. A lot of people have to worry about what that marketing looks like or how they get the word out. I would imagine people are waiting for you to open something.
Yeah. I mean, I've had, one gentleman in particular, he's emailed me several times over the last years, like, when are you gonna open? And I'm like, yeah, soon, man, soon, I promise. I'm working real hard at it, man. Because like people ask me, why don't you open a food truck or do this or do that and everything? I'm like, it's not going to allow me to offer the same experience that I would want to offer to my guests. Like I can open a food truck for sure. I can open a food truck for to be a lot less, risky, and I could serve my guests and make really good money and everything. But that's not the goal. The goal is to kind of to be able to offer people a dining experience from a founder that's in a career or business, a career path that you don't see a lot of us excel in. So I, want to do it this way because that's not necessarily because I have a point to prove, but I have a point to prove.
Right, right.
So yeah.
Very, very good. Let's talk about the area of town that you're looking for a location. I know location sourcing is something you're doing. You haven't found a spot yet, if I'm not mistaken. Is that correct?
I haven't found the spot yet. So the spot so what originally happened when we were getting ready to make our transition from the incubator proof, we I have a relationship with a local here. Her name is Charlotte Caldwell. She runs an organization called Stoveworks, which is a nonprofit art gallery. She worked in the art world in New York and everything. And the building that she owns, she bought here in Chattanooga. She was trying to raise money to kind of bring tenants into the space and also offer them equity into the space. Well, she wasn't able to secure the capital that she needed to be able to offer that to us and everything. And we have to also, because it was going to cut the cost of us having to build out our particular spaces and everything, because the space that she has is a shell. And again, restaurants are expensive. If you don't have a grease trap, if you don't have a hood system, buying tables, chairs, working with an architect, pulling permits, getting a liquor license, all of that stuff, adds up. And especially during the pandemic where prices, and things are like sky high. So that didn't necessarily work out. So we transitioned from there. I moved into the other incubator that I'm in now and transitioned my business from a full service restaurant to a catering operation. And so we're looking at a really dense corridor here in Chattanooga called the South Side on Main Street. So on Monday, I was with a developer named Jeff Cannon. He owns a company called Tucker Build, and they're doing some renovations at the Chattanooga Choo Choo here in town. And he, caught me, as I was going to grab breakfast and everything. It's like, hey man, I got a space to show you and everything. So we walked over and he showed me the space that they're developing. And he was like, I think you will be good for this space, which is an ideal location because it's in such a densely populated area with people who have the ideal median income, and also with restaurant congestion. So people are already programmed to come to this area to eat and
Mhm.
everything. So we're there and everything, and it's right downtown. So we're not just depending on locals. We can, market to tourists and locals at the same time and stuff. So tourists will keep me in business, but the locals will make me rich, is what they say. So that's kind of the goal and everything. But the South Side is where we're looking. I'm also talking to another uh, lady who has a condo unit in a building here that has a restaurant in it already, and she's thinking about transitioning from that, but she has some because it's a family business. That dynamic is always really tough and everything, because if you have a family member, particular a daughter or a son, that say they want to run it, but you don't necessarily have the confidence that they have the skill set to do that and everything, you need to try to have more options. So that's kind of where I'm with them.
Right. Okay. Very, very good. Right,
And
God.
what I'm going to do with the another tidbit about that, what I'm going to do to try to influence some kind of something that happened there is I'm going to start occupying a space on Saturdays and doing pop-ups in that space and doing a 4-course dinner, a 5-course dinner there, kind of um, marketing as food ideas that I want to explore when we open our brick and mortar.
Nice. So that leads that's actually a good segue into the question I was going to ask. I was going to ask about menu price point. So when you do like a prefix 5-course meal, what does something like that cost, or what would it cost per person?
Um, it really depends on, the menu that I draw, everything. So I need to make a menu that's interesting to people, but I need to make a menu also that's cost effective for me.
Right.
And that's not really labor intensive too. Where I can execute the menu with the minimal amount of hands, and also without buying stuff. So that's going to take some skill and everything. So like, for example, I would do like a Ghanaian shrimp toast.
Mm.
I would do so I've been fooling with the idea of saltfish and ackee. Saltfish and ackee and saltfish is a Jamaican national dish. So I've taken that, with some cassava, or actually Ghanaian yam, and making this kind of a concoction with saltfish and ackee and everything, and stuffing that in a ravioli. And I make a coconut fumet, and that will be a dish that I would want to put there. Red would be a dish I would do that. West African suya, not West African suya, but suya, and do it in the form of a steak, a smaller portion of steak because it's a tasting menu, and then probably some kind of dessert.
Wow, nice. And that price point is what?
Probably like $100.
Okay, that's
Yeah,
good.
yeah, it's good, for that, and it would be BYOB. So you can bring your own wine or beverage.
Okay. Okay. All right. Road trip. Love
Road
it.
trip for sure.
For sure.
Yeah,
Bernard,
y'all be looking out for that.
Bernard said, generally speaking, he said it's not really a great ROI for the basic 9 years. So I will invest because I believe in the vision and I'm a foodie lover. So first of all, thank you very much, Bernard. But I want to talk about that 9-year term because in your slide, I think you word it a little differently, and it really is or sooner, right? So
Correct.
it's going to be
Right.
based on the productivity and progress and success of the restaurant.
Right. I don't want to. It wouldn't be a good idea for me to promise you a specific return, given the industry that I'm in, because it's so seasonal and everything. So we did that because it's a conservative estimate, where it's a conservative estimate. It kind of protects you and myself and everything, as far as what you should expect. Ideally, the goal would be to pay it off in half the time. So I kind of want to under promise and over deliver with the investment.
Right. That makes perfect sense. No,
Yeah.
I love that. I love that. Um, any other questions, guys? Now is your time to ask your questions. Another question that I have is, what's the long-term goal? I know, you talked about being able to keep it 100% Black owned and be able to really realize your vision for it. But do you see your children taking over and running this, or like what truly is the long-term plan for Neutral Ground?
So I spoke about, doing the multiple stores and having like a fast casual po' boy and yakimine concept. Um, that model, paired with the idea that was pioneered by Chick-fil-A, where
Mhm.
they have uh, owner operators that are brought up within the business, and there's a 50-50 profit share, where the operator has such incentive to make sure their store is successful, that they adhere to all the standards and everything, and they do all those things. And obviously the Chick-fil-A model was developed over 30 50 plus years or whatever,
Right.
60 plus years, everything. But I really like that idea of being able to develop a model like that. One, to bring up African American operators in this fast casual concept in order to help build wealth in our community.
Wonderful. Absolutely love everything about that. And I know you talked a little bit about you have the event coming up at the farm where you source some of your ingredients. Can you talk about the ingredient sourcing? Is it all organic, or tell us a little bit about that?
So Usually the farms that we deal with are very much so, like Tennessee and Middle Tennessee, there's a large Amish community, and they farm quite a bit, and they have a co-op there. I did a dinner at the University of the South that featured a lot of their wares and everything. Um, and I feel just like John Louis and a lot of other chefs feel, good food starts with good ingredients, and also given the fact that chefs around here aren't really utilizing some of the farms, I actually save money buying produce and things from local farms, and I get nicer stuff. So my goal is to promote these businesses as well, to kind of make it a symbiotic thing where I'm not taking advantage of them and everything, but also doing things to help them grow and drawing attention to what they do. So that's one of the reasons why I was motivated to do a dinner with Sequatchie Cove and everything. And also they're just really good people.
Nice. Very, very good.
Yeah,
John is saying, please focus on customer service.
absolutely. Customer service um, is a hallmark of a good restaurant.
Yeah.
So people might come back, and try a restaurant again if they had a bad meal, but they really won't come back and try a restaurant again if they've been treated poorly. So customer service is definitely a hallmark of a good business, because customer service is one of the first touch points that your business makes with your customer. So when they're greeted at the door, with a smile, their code is checked. Yeah, I kind of believe in the whole school of thought that Danny Meyer has and Will Guidara has, with customer service and everything, and making sure we try to offer people a really, really memorable experience.
Yeah. Yeah. You're absolutely right. I have gone back to restaurants where I felt like they gotta be able to do better than this. Like, this was an off night. I want to try it again. But if
Right.
customer service is bad, I will never go there, and I will tell everyone I had a terrible experience.
And that's the worst thing that you can have somebody do, because most of the times when people have a negative experience, they're gonna definitely tell at least 10 people. A lot of times, if they have a good experience, they might mention it to one or two people.
Yeah.
So you really want to make sure that you pay attention to making sure customers have a good experience. And also, if they have a good experience, try your best to turn that situation before they walk out of the door and everything. Don't just chalk it up to being, and I know um, a lot of African American restaurants and Black owned businesses kind of get a bad rap for that and everything. But throughout my training, over the last 15 years and stuff, I've worked in some really, really high caliber restaurants, and I've been mentored by some really good chefs. One of the places here is in East Tennessee called Blackberry Farm, which
Mhm.
is like a 3-star at Michelin rated Tennessee. Blackberry Farm will be Michelin rated. That's how serious it is over there.
Really?
Yes, it is. I worked, for some really prominent chefs in New Orleans, and I worked for some really good chefs here in Chattanooga, and I spent some time working at some really high end places in Rhode Island. So customer service is part of the deal. You can't have a successful restaurant, especially at the caliber that we want to have Nutri-Round to be, without offering really paying painstaking detail to offering guests a really, really genuine and authentic experience.
Very nice. John said Atlanta and Nashville are within a couple of hours. What's the plan to attract these markets?
Um, so one of the things that we do, I actually met with a PR firm on Tuesday, and one of the things that we chefs do is they outsource a lot of that to firms and everything, and they help you get national media attention, whether it be on Eater, whether it be in some of the prominent food publications like Bon Appetit, Food and Wine, some of the local blogs and whatnot and everything. So that is kind of the way that we've actually built our presence as we have of date and everything, by taking advantage of local media and also using our local tourism agency to promote Chattanooga. And when they promote Chattanooga, they want to promote, restaurants they think people will be interested in visiting. So that's one way we help to cut costs with marketing and everything, by taking advantage of opportunities like that don't cost a lot, or that are free.
Nice. Very good. Very good question, John. Also, you don't always think about marketing for a restaurant. And so at least I don't see commercials for restaurants often, not the kind of restaurant that you're talking about. I mean, you see it for
Right.
some chain things, but
Uh-huh.
so I wouldn't have thought about marketing, but I love that John asked that question.
Mhm.
People will come,
They will travel for food.
they will. I have gotten in the car and driven hours for food that somebody said was good, not even food that I had tried already, but that
Right.
somebody I trusted said, you got to go there. And it's been a rainy Saturday, and it's just like, let's get up and ride. And we have ridden to some interesting places. And sometimes the food was on point, and sometimes it was, don't listen to that person again because they don't know good food. But
We've had when the Chopped episode aired, and when the video went viral for Lapita, we had people coming from far as Chicago,
wow.
Atlanta, and Nashville. People were coming from out of town to come and eat at NutriGround.
Yeah, that is wonderful. Any other questions, guys? Any other questions? Talisha, do we have any questions in Facebook?
Yep, they're all addressed.
Very good. Very good. All right. Well, I'm going to give my final statements, and then Kenyatta, I'll leave it to you to close us out. First, I want to say thank you for coming. This has been a very, very great presentation, I believe. And I can't wait. Like, I wish you were asking for money to expand a business that was already open, because I want to ride this weekend. Like, that's how much I want to taste everything.
Yeah.
Like, I hate that you're not already open. But that's okay. We are going to be patient, because you are going to get the money that you need. You're going to find the perfect location. And then because you're a part of this community now. Once you come to 10K, we don't let you go. And so we want all of the up-to-date, the minute by minute, play by play. When you find a location, we want you to come in Facebook and tell us you found the location. Like, we want you to be engaged and be a part of this family. And so I'll be sending you your code and all that stuff so you can get into the group. But I say that to say, we mean what we say. Like, when people are saying, let's do a road trip, like, they're not playing. They are really serious. This community is a community that loves to support our Black founders. We buy the products that our Black founders sell. We obviously show up to invest. And so this is a community that will absolutely travel to support you. And I am one of those people, and I'm just excited about that. But tonight we're here to talk about investing, right? And so, from a community member standpoint, please do your due diligence. I always tell you that. I'm never going to not tell you that. Look at the campaign page, look at reviews, go to Kenyatta's IG, look at Lupita's video, like all of those things, right? Research the restaurant market, research the Chattanooga foodie experience and dining experience, and all of those things that you need to do to decide if this fits in your portfolio. But the one thing I want you to do before you do any of that is I want you to share the heck out of this campaign link, right? Because what we know to be true for the 3 years we've been doing this is that these founders need as many eyes on their campaign as possible. That is where we come in at. Yes, we are potential investors, absolutely. But more than anything else, we need to champion this project. We need to champion this founder, and we need to send this campaign link to everyone we know so that they too can make a decision on if this fits in their portfolio, and they can do their own due diligence. So that is my request of you this evening from a community standpoint. Let's please share the heck out of the campaign. To those of you that are going to watch this on replay after we send you the link, for those of you who are going to watch this later in Facebook, that is the ask. And if you are a member of this community, either a paid member or a non-paid member, something about us made you gravitate towards what we're doing. And I believe it's because we're doing such good work for the Black founders. And so this is the time to pour into them and show them love by sharing the campaign link and considering investing. And so please, please share it with everyone you know, post it on your social media. We've put the link in the chat and in the comments. If you cannot find it there for some reason, if you can't find it, it's on WeFunder. You can go to wefunder.com. You can search Neutral Ground, but we created a link that makes it easier for you. But just in case you miss that or lose that, you can easily find it. Even if you don't remember the name of the company, send us a note. We'll remind you and send you the link again. But don't let any of those things stop you from sharing the heck out of this campaign link. So with that said, I'm going to turn it over to you, Kenyatta, to close us out. But thank you again for joining us.
Tawana, I thank you, and I thank everybody that attended. I really appreciate you guys, coming on and wanting to find out about Neutral Ground and Afro Creole cuisine. Just a tidbit about that and everything. I would love for you guys to take a trip to Chattanooga, and we can have a family reunion, man, or something. We can have a big picnic or whatnot. But anyway, one of the things I didn't mention during the pitch is that Chattanooga is growing quite rapidly. There's lots of development happening in Chattanooga. Housing is going up everywhere, pretty much in a downtown corridor within probably 5 square miles. Almost. I'm kind of embellishing a little bit and everything, but there's lots of development happening in Chattanooga. One of the reasons is because Nashville has grown insane. It's really big. Atlanta the same way, and also you have people are being drawn to Chattanooga because we're being promoted as a tech space. And Chattanooga is being marketed as the Silicon Valley of the South. And one of the things that has happened is a local company called EPB, the Electric Power Board, has run lots of fiber optic cable through Chattanooga, which kind of has given us the nickname of Gig City. And we have a new baseball stadium getting ready to be built for our minor league team. And there's so much development and so much expansion going on in Chattanooga that, there's lots of interest in what's going on here and everything. So one of the reasons why I want to do this now is to kind of get ahead of the curve on all of that development and everything, so we can be right in the center of reaping the benefit of all the new people and all the new happenings that are going on in Chattanooga.
Nice. John said Chattanooga is on the come up. Downtown has a good buzz.
It does. Absolutely. Yeah.
Very
So,
good.
yeah.
Very good. The only question I forgot to add, and I always ask this question, I completely forgot to do it tonight, so I'll do it now, is why 10K project, Kenyatta? Why was it important to come here to share this project with us?
I did not know about the 10K project. It was referred to me by one of the gentlemen that works at WeFunder. And I was happy, to come on, especially after we met for the first time, Tawana. And it's something about community when it comes to us, like no matter where we're from, whether you're from New York or from the South or what, city or place you're from, there's community that we have and everything. And I don't feel that with any other group of people, obviously, and everything. And I really like I like being amongst my people, and I want to be I want to be an advocate for myself in my community, and I want to be an advocate for the other people in my community and everything. And I don't know, it's just something about community, man. Like, I mean, that's yeah. Black people are magic.
Absolute magic.
Yeah.
Absolute magic. We absolutely are. And that doesn't take anything from anybody else in the world, because they have their own benefits, but we got magic on lock.
And one of the things, like one of the things that I learned too about when I began to discover my food identity and everything, when I first encountered Red, or when I went to Benin the year after, I was eating that food, and it was something that I had never eaten before, but it was so familiar though.
Mhm.
Right? Can you guys, you understand that? And that's
Do.
why, and that's kind of how the Black experience is. I went to Africa and everything, and like it's my family and everything, and the hospitality that I got when I was there, it was like if I was one of their own, which I am, and everything, but we just met for the first time.
Yeah.
So that's the kind of experience and the brand of hospitality that we want to provide with the food that we create and cook at NutriGround, and also the hospitality that we provide for people.
Yeah, that's beautiful. I absolutely love that. I can't wait. I can't wait. I can't wait for the doors to open. I can't wait to come to the grand opening. Like, I can't wait to experience your cuisine and the dining experience, right? I love that it is an upscale experience, because we deserve that, right? We
Absolutely.
absolutely do.
Absolutely.
I want somebody pulling
Yeah.
out my chair and putting my napkin down for me. Like, I love every minute of all of that, right?
Absolutely. Yes. Yes.
And
Yes.
we deserve to have that in our life
Yes.
often. And so I am excited that you're going to also show a group of people that may never have experienced that level of dining, because maybe they didn't feel comfortable going into the places that provide that level of dining. Now they get to walk into NutriGround, the chef looks like them, the owner looks like them, and they may now feel like they belong in a place like that, because we so do. And today,
Absolutely.
that's not always the case. We always a little self-conscious sometimes. Do we fit in? And so this won't just be, I know, brother, you think you opening a restaurant and it's just that with good food, but
Oh
there's
no.
so much more that's getting ready to happen when those doors open. So much more. So wonderful, wonderful, wonderful. Community, you know what we need to do. You understand the assignment. I'll leave it up to you to show out. You have already shown up. And so now it's time for us to show out. With that said, I am going to say good night. Looks like John saying he's invested. Olivia said, that's what I'm talking about, Tawana. Yeah, we get it. We get it. Anything else we can do, Kenyatta, let us know. Like I said, I'm gonna send you the link so you can join and get in the Facebook group and all of that stuff. But we're not letting you go, brother. You part of the family now.
I appreciate that so much. I am going to probably, send an email if that's possible to the group and everything. And just kind of, so we can keep in touch or whatever and everything. And if I can offer them more information and stuff, we can be in communication with each other.
Yep. If you send it over to me, and we'll actually put it in our newsletter. We'll put it in
All
this
right.
week's newsletter. That'll be great. All right. Okay, everyone. Oh, Eddie's saying, how can we get the episode of Chopped?
So if you search, what I found when I first looked, I'm not sure if it's the same way. The episode number and season are different on two different platforms, so it might say something different on Apple TV or at the Apple Store and on Prime. But if you Google the show title, which is Food Capsule, food, God, I'm gonna forgot.
Let's just Google it real quick. Let's see what it is.
Time capsule food of the 90s or something like that. Yeah.
Time capsule food of the 90s.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, okay. So So it says on the Food Network, it says it's season 50, episode 2.
Right. Yeah, season 50, episode 2. Yeah. So Time Capsule, Food of the 90s is the show title. That's usually what I tell people, so they can find it, pretty easily, and they can, get it from whatever platform they want to use, whether it be Prime or Apple TV or something else. So
Nice. Very
Yeah.
good. Edward, I'm glad you asked that question. That's a good one. So we can all watch the episode. Yeah, that'll be awesome. Very, very good. All right, guys, have a good evening. Thank you so much, Kenyatta, for joining us. I appreciate you. And we will be talking soon.
Thank you so much. You guys have a good night.
Okay, good night, everybody.